You're out shooting a landscape, or maybe just an old barn down a dirt road. You want everything from the foreground to the background in crisp, sharp focus. So you do what you've always been taught. Tripod, self-timer, lowest ISO. You carefully focus, you stop the lens down to f16, you press the shutter, and somehow the image is still soft. It lacks that crisp bite, and it's not missed focus and it's not motion blur. It's a physical property of light called diffraction. And it happens whenever you force light through a very small opening. Today I'm going to explain exactly what diffraction is and why trying to get the mathematically perfect depth of field might actually be ruining your photos, and how we handle this on Micro Four Thirds. Hi, hello everybody, welcome back to a new video, hope you're all well. So, this overall softness can be a massive frustration, especially when you feel like you did everything right in the field. I see this a lot on forums when people switch from full frame to Micro Four Thirds. They bring their old habits with them, like defaulting to f11 or f16 for landscapes, and end up disappointed with the sharpness. Small nerd warning for today, but we're going to look at the actual physics of why this happens, and how to get the depth of field you want without penalizing your photos. When light passes through your lens, it behaves like a wave. If your aperture is wide open, say f1.8, f2.8 or even f4, the physical hole inside the lens is quite large. The light waves pass straight through cleanly without interference and hit your sensor, giving you a sharp, precise point of light. But as you stop down to f11, f16 or f22, the physical opening gets incredibly small. Now, the opening inside the lens is getting smaller and smaller. The light waves are forced to squeeze past the physical edges of the aperture blades. And the moment light passes a hard edge, it refuses to keep traveling in perfectly straight lines. The wave bend, they overlap, and instead of meeting in one tiny, perfectly focused point, they spread outward into a small fuzzy circle. In physics, that little circle even has a name. It's called an airy disk. And every click of the aperture makes that airy disk just a little bit bigger. That is diffraction. On a typical full-frame camera, diffraction usually don't become noticeable until around f11 and becomes much more obvious when you step down to f16 or f22. But on our Micro Four Thirds cameras, the rules change. A focal length is always a focal length no matter what camera body you mount the lens to. And f16 is f16. The physics of the glass and the physical size of the opening don't magically change between systems. Because remember that air disk we just talked about? At the exact same f number, that fuzzy circle is essentially the same physical size whether it's projected onto a medium format, full frame, APS-C or Micro Four Thirds sensor. The lens creates the blur and your sensor's only job is to record it. So if the blur is the same size on every camera, why do photographers keep saying that Micro Four Thirds suffers from diffraction earlier? The answer isn't the size of the blur, it's the size of the pixels recording it. Imagine your sensor is just a giant floor made out of tiny square tiles. A typical 24 megapixel full-frame camera spread those 24 million tiles across a large surface area. So every individual pixel is physically quite wide. When the lens projects its air disk onto that sensor, the blur is still effectively smaller than one single pixel. To the sensor, it is recorded as a crisp point of light. But now look at my OM5. It has almost the same number of pixels packed into a sensor that's only about 1/4 of the area. The individual tiles have become much smaller. So what happens? The lens projects exactly the same blur onto both sensors, but on this much finer grid, that blur no longer fits inside one single pixel. Instead, the light is spread across several neighboring pixels. The The sensor faithfully records that distribution of light. The softness isn't created by the camera processor. It already existed in the optical image projected by the lens. But because the sensor is sampling the image more finely, what once looked like a single sharp point is now recorded as a gradual transition, a soft smudge. I know it's a lot of math for a Friday, but here's the shortcut you actually need to know. And this brings us to one of the biggest ironies in photography. If a full-frame shooter buys a high-resolution 60 megapixel camera, the sensor isn't getting any bigger. It's the same size as that 24 megapixel sensor. They are simply packing 60 million pixels into the same piece of silicon. Those pixels shrink until they're almost the same physical size as the pixels in my OM 5. Which means that at a 1:1 pixel level, a 6000 60 megapixel full-frame camera and a Micro Four Thirds camera play by almost the exact same rules. They reach essentially the same diffraction limit around f8. So why do full-frame shooters feel like they can shoot at f16 without any problem? Because very few people view a 60 megapixel image at 100%. The file gets resized for a monitor, a phone screen or a print, mathematically squeezing those tiny blurry pixels back together and hiding much of the softness. And by the way, this doesn't just apply to a 60 megapixel beast, it applies to a standard 24 megapixel full-frame camera or even my 20 megapixel camera on my OM 5. Think about the math of the screen you're looking at right now. A standard 4K monitor is only about 8.3 megapixels. If you want to view a photo at a 1:1 pixel level and actually see the entire image fit on your screen, you'd have to shoot on a 8 megapixel camera. But because we're shooting at 20 or 24 megapixels, your computer has to shrink the file by more than half just to fit your display. And when it shrinks the file, it shrinks the blur right along with it. So no, our sensors aren't worse at handling light. They are simply sampling the same optical blur more densely. They just force us to respect the laws of physics a couple of stops earlier. And honestly, when that math finally clicked for me, it felt like someone had given me a cheat code. Because I realized I had been looking at the whole concept of depth of field completely backwards. If the only reason we stop down is to get that massive sweeping focus from the foreground to the background, well, smaller sensors render depth of field differently. An aperture of f5.6 on a Micro Four Thirds gives you roughly the equivalent depth of field of f11 on a full-frame camera, assuming you're standing shoulder to shoulder with them, framing the exact same shot. You get that massive front-to-back focus from the foreground rocks all the way to the background. But because your lens is set to f5.6 instead of f11, the physical opening inside the barrel is still wide enough to let the light waves pass through cleanly. You get that deep focus, but you completely bypass the diffraction smudge. Which brings us to the optical tug-of-war happening inside every single lens ever made. See, I used to think wide open is soft, stop down is sharp. Therefore, more stop down equals more sharp. But there are actually two completely different ghosts haunting your glass. When a lens is wide open at f1.4, f1.8, f2, it suffers from optical imperfections, things like soft corners, glowing edges, or purple fringing. Now, obviously I've magnified those ghosts here a bit, so they actually show up on a YouTube player. But the math is absolute law, because watch what happens. As you start clicking the aperture smaller, the glass corrects those flaws, and the image gets sharper and sharper. But the exact second you start closing that hole, diffraction wakes up and starts growing in the other direction. Your lens's sweet spot is the exact bottom of that valley. It's the temporary optical ceasefire where the glass imperfections have cleared up, but diffraction hasn't taken over yet. Because our Micro Four Thirds sensors sample that diffraction earlier, our optical ceasefire happens earlier too. While a higher resolution full-frame lens might find its absolute sweet spot around f8, the vast majority of standard Micro Four Thirds lenses reach their practical peak right around f4 to f5.6.
And yes, before the lens historians get me in the comments, there are ultra high-end primes that peak around f2.8 and macro lenses that behave a little differently. But as a general rule of thumb for the glass in your bag, f4 to f5.6 is your mountain peak.
So if you take one thing with you from the physics today, let it be this. Every click gives you more depth of field, but it also gives diffraction a little more influence. Stopping your lens down doesn't automatically add sharpness. It is just a trade-off between two different types of blur. But I want to end on this. Technical friction isn't just about heavy gear or complicated menus. It's also about what I'd call sharpness anxiety. Worrying so much about finding the mathematically perfect aperture that you forget to actually look at the composition. Yes, shooting at f11 or f16 introduces diffraction. But if you capture a beautiful, quiet moment with great light, and you happen to be at f16, it is still a great photo. An emotive, well-composed photograph with a bit of softness is always going to be infinitely better than a boring, clinically sharp photo shot at f5.6. We learn the technical side so that we understand our tools. We find that sweet spot so the gear can just get out of the way. But once you understand how the light works, your only job is to stop stressing about the settings and start focusing on the scene in front of you. I'm curious though, is diffraction something you normally think about when you're out shooting with your camera? Let me know down in the comments, I always read them. Anyways, that's it for today guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, give it a like and consider subscribing, I appreciate it so much. But until next time, have a good day or evening, whenever you're watching this. Out!